London-bound plane carrying 242 passengers and crew has crashed in the west of the country.
Air India.
Air India.
Air India.
Air India.
June 12, 2025. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon in Ahmedabad, India. At the airport, passengers moved through security. Some were heading home, others were starting a new chapter. For many, it was just another routine flight. Air India Flight 171 was preparing to leave for London Gatwick. On board were 10 crew members and 232 passengers, families, professionals, and students. The aircraft had flown this route many times before. Everything seemed normal. The engines started. The plane rolled onto the runway and lifted smoothly into the sky. But just minutes after takeoff, something went wrong. The pilots sent out a distress signal and then nothing. People on the ground reported a loud explosion, a fireball in the sky, smoke rising fast. Screams filled the streets. Flight AI-171 had crashed into a busy neighborhood. What happened up there? How could a brand new plane fall from the sky so suddenly? And most importantly, was there anyone left alive? This is the story of Air India Flight 171, a flight that began like any other, but ended in disaster. The city of Ahmedabad had just begun its day. Streets were busy, chai stalls were crowded, and the early summer heat was already rising. But at Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport, everything was running smoothly. Inside the terminal, families were hugging goodbye. Students were checking in for the long journey to London. Crew members moved with quiet confidence, their uniforms crisp, their routines familiar. Air India Flight AI-171 was scheduled to depart for London Gatwick, a flight that usually took around 9 hours. The aircraft that would make the journey was one of Air India's newest, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. It was one of the most modern commercial planes in the sky. It had first entered service in 2009, and since then, over 1,000 had been delivered to airlines all over the world. Known for its fuel efficiency, quieter engines, and advanced technology, it had become a favorite for long-haul flights. The aircraft was piloted by Captain Sumit Sabharwal, with 8,200 hours of experience. The captain had flown this route dozens of times, and First Officer Clive Kundar, with 1,100 hours of experience. The cabin crew, calm, professional, and well-trained, ran their checks like clockwork. Weather reports showed clear skies and calm winds. It was the kind of day pilots hoped for. By mid-afternoon, the plane was fueled, baggage loaded, and passengers seated. Among the passengers were 53 British nationals, 169 Indian nationals, 1 Canadian national, and 7 Portuguese nationals. It was supposed to be a routine journey. However, no one, not the pilots, not the passengers, not even air traffic control, could have imagined what was about to happen. At exactly 1:38 p.m. local time, an Air India flight began rolling down runway 23 at Ahmedabad's International Airport. The engines roared to life and the plane began its powerful sprint down the tarmac. Inside, passengers settled in. Some adjusted their seatbelts. Others glanced out the windows, watching the airport slowly disappear behind them. But something was off. The aircraft lifted off, but barely. It reached just over 600 feet in altitude, flying low and oddly sluggish. Witnesses on the ground noticed immediately that the plane wasn't climbing the way it should. Then came the distress call. A mayday was issued from the cockpit, and then nothing. A mayday call is an emergency procedure used internationally as a distress signal through radio communications. It signals a life-threatening emergency. That's it. There was no further contact from the crew. No explanation, no follow-up, just silence. 32 seconds after takeoff, everything changed. The aircraft dropped sharply and crashed into a densely populated area just beyond the airport. It struck a hostel for medical students, slamming directly into the dining hall. Lunch plates still sat on tables when the impact hit. A bright orange fireball lit up the sky. Black smoke poured upward. Inside the aircraft, chaos unfolded. Screams, fire, and collapsing metal. And yet somehow, one man, seated in 11A, survived. He walked out from the wreckage, dazed and stunned, but alive. But among the victims was Vijay Rupani, a two-time Chief Minister of Gujarat, a senior leader of the BJP, and a familiar face to many across the state. He was flying to London to join his family. His daughter lived there, and his wife had already flown ahead. He was scheduled to meet them and return with his wife later in the month. After that crash, emergency services responded within minutes. 24 ambulances, firefighters, and police flooded the area. Roads were shut down. The army was called in to help. The scene was horrific. When rescue teams arrived, they found parts of the aircraft scattered across multiple blocks. Flames engulfed portions of the wreckage, and firefighters began battling the blaze while paramedics searched for survivors. In the wake of the crash, Ahmedabad Airport suspended all flight operations. Later, it reopened with limited service. Also, Air India is organizing 2 relief flights, one each from Delhi and Mumbai, to Ahmedabad for the next of kin of passengers and Air India staff. As the news spread, families across India and the United Kingdom waited, hoping their loved ones were among the survivors. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called the crash heartbreaking beyond words. Air India confirmed the incident and activated emergency response centers. As visuals from the crash spread on social media and news channels, the world began to grieve. Leaders at the highest levels responded. Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu said he was personally monitoring the response and had ordered all aviation and emergency agencies to act swiftly and in coordination. The Civil Aviation Ministry remained in constant communication with local officials on the ground. Early footage verified by the BBC showed the aircraft flying unusually low before crashing, and some experts noticed something critical. Aviation analyst Jeffrey Thomas said, "When I'm looking at this, the undercarriage is still down, but the flaps have been retracted. Wing flaps are essential during takeoff. They create additional lift. Without them, a plane may struggle to climb." Terry Tozer, another expert, said, "It doesn't look as if the flaps are extended, and that would be a perfectly obvious explanation for an aircraft not completing its takeoff correctly." Former pilot and aviation lecturer Marco Chan added, "That would point to potential human error if flaps aren't set correctly," although he cautioned that the video quality wasn't clear enough to confirm it. Still, it was a disturbing clue. A top state police officer, V.D. Chaudhary, said, "Approximately 294 have died till now. This means as of 12th June midnight. This includes some students as the plane crashed on the building where they were staying. It is now being called the world's deadliest aviation disaster in a decade. However, this is not the first time India has faced such a tragedy in the skies, but it is the worst in a decade. The last fatal air crash in the country occurred in 2020, when an Air India Express Boeing 737 skidded off a rain-slick runway in southern India, plunged down a slope, and killed 21 people. And yet this latest crash has brought back haunting memories of past tragedies, raising new questions about safety, oversight, and the intense pressures of rapid expansion in aviation. But the biggest question remained: how could this happen to a modern aircraft, just seconds after takeoff? Right now, the exact cause of the crash is still unknown, and the truth is, it may take months or even years to find out exactly what went wrong. But the investigation has already begun. Air accident investigators from both Britain and the United States are heading to India to help uncover what caused this tragedy. Britain's Air Accidents Investigation Branch, or AAIB, has officially offered its help to India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau and is sending a team to the crash site in Ahmedabad. Because many British citizens were on board, the AAIB will have expert status in the investigation. At the same time, America's National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, has also announced that it's sending its own team of experts to assist. It will take time. Investigators will look at every part of the wreckage, the black boxes, air traffic control recordings, and flight data. They'll interview witnesses, survivors, and crew members from the airport, and they'll try to answer the question the world is now asking: why did this happen? In a short statement, Boeing said they are aware of the crash and are working to gather more information. It's important to understand that most crashes are not caused by one single thing. Instead, they're usually the result of many factors like pilot error, technical failure, weather conditions, or even something as small as a switch left in the wrong position. So as soon as answers start to emerge, we'll bring them to you with no noise, just the facts. So if you want to follow this story as it unfolds, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the investigation updates. And comment below, what do you think could have gone wrong? We'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe.